Alright, um, my name was at one time Anna Marie Betcher. I cut off the Betcher part a long time ago for a lot of reasons. Um, First of all, I was kidnapped when I was about 3. I remember it. I remember a man coming in to my house. I looked at a sticker that had Mickey Mouse on it. I was looking out the window too. The man barged in and raped my mom. I don't remember what my real dad looked like. My actual mom had sandy blonde hair. A few days later, he showed back up with a CPS worker wherever we were. I think it was Canada, but I'm not sure. And there was a white gravel driveway. He had me stand next to a tree so that I would remember that I was 3. And he killed him. And I think he buried him in the drive after the CPS lady drove. The family I had was completely made up, completely fake. Lucy was not my mom, and Dave was not my dad. Um, I remember asking about my real parents a lot of times. I was also tortured by them into believing that they were. I think they kept me up for 3 days. I don't know what else they did. I can't remember. I remember sitting in a black chair with gold trim that was Lucy's in her apartment. That's where we lived at first. I don't know where they got my name or my birth certificate from. They might have stolen it from someone else. I don't know. That's all I have, though. That's me. Carol apparently wanted grandkids. I think Chrissy might have been kidnapped too. I'm not sure. Debbie was there, and Debbie chose Chrissy, and David and Lucy took me. I don't know if John is related to Dave for sure. They said that they were. They made a family heritage book, but I've learned that that can be not real, obviously. They have a way of getting birth certificates and stuff like that. There was also a woman in Nebraska whose name was Anna, I think Marie Batcher, the same as mine. She was really old. Dave had traveled there with me. He left me with a cop, and that cop molested me. He looks like he might be related to the Cosgrove family. Tim Cosgrove went to high school with me, and he's also part of the sex trafficking and life robbing. So, they did a lot of really bad things. There was a lot of torture involved. Hollywood obviously was also involved. I was supposed to be betrothed to him. I was supposed to marry him, and I think I did when I was 16, um, maybe even younger, but I think I was 16. Um, he could not get high. He couldn't smoke any weed. They wanted him to have a clear mind. He was older than me. I got stuck having to stay with Dave, and he had to go do his thing. They made it so I didn't even remember it. Okay. Um, if it was really him, I think it was. Then I think they had me marry him again later on, and then I was stolen. And again, they made me forget that. Then they they did something really bad that I don't want to say right now, but they caused me to lose all memory, pretty much, of my childhood, and they continued to play pretend. For the most part, Dave stayed out of my life. After I turned about 18 or 19, he was in and out, but for the most part, he wasn't a part of it. He calls up, he says he's going to do this, that, and the other, or tells me and confesses his crimes, and then he makes them happen. Okay. He also has done a lot of conditioning so that I would not tell. And it's hard to explain too. He spent a lot of time when I was growing up in the basement going over the law, teaching me the law, and talking about things that I thought he was nuts about until now. And I apologize for that, even though I really don't want an apology. It's still not nice, the stuff that I said, because he wasn't wrong. And that's just how I am. At least about not about that stuff. um, I had no memory of CIA stuff at all for me. He called me and told me that Trump took my badge. I seem to remember that the federal police weren't supposed to be able to buy life insurance, at least in the past. They also knew I hadn't done anything wrong because of surveillance, which I had apparently been under my whole life. So at this point, it sort of looks to me like a kid was kidnapped, and people who were in charge at the time maybe figured that it was no big deal, and maybe they didn't know, or maybe they did, that he was as abusive as he is and was. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, they turned me into a spy kid, and some people did know. They really did. And then they also had me do clandestine. Uh, you used to be able to get a card and be able to go to a bank and tell them that you were clandestine and access cash to live off of, to make do. Of course, he took all that. So he's probably been spending that too, just like everything else. When he sold the policies, I was raped. I think there were different invasions, but I'm not sure. One of which was Nazi, or Nazi-like. They pretty much barged right in and tried to take over. This isn't. This is on top of having to deal with the visitors. I have memory of him sitting in the basement and saying that they had used the discs, the big discs for receiving radio waves from out in space. They reversed them and sent an SOS from Earth. That caused a bigger type of invasion, is what he said. A lot of the aliens that were showing up and coming here weren't necessarily here to hurt us. They were supposed to be here to help. Again, I have very blurred memories, and since I have blurred memories, I don't want to be around anyone right now. I feel completely unsafe, and that's because of all of the abuse, the torture, and the mutilation and abductions. Most of which I think were done by him and Smith, and the memories that I have. I would have liked for the memories to be nightmares. Not really, but it would be better that way until I match the memories up with the scars, even though they're faint. This is actually one, the easiest to show. Let me see exactly where that is. It's very faint. I don't know if you could see it on my arm. It's a brown mark. You'd think that that's a birthmark. It's not a birthmark. I was actually shot there. Okay. So, at some point, they made me forget pretty much everything. That's a scary thing. They even tried to make me forget that I had kids, but that didn't work. They made me forget about Haim. They made me forget that I was married. They made me forget about life insurance. And even though conversations were had by other people, I didn't even know what life insurance was. I didn't understand it. I didn't think it was right. What do you mean you could take a policy out on somebody and get paid just for them dying? Or what do you mean that you can take one out on someone you don't know? That sounds even crazier, right? So that was gone over by Wes, and he said he didn't trust Dave, that he thought he was up to something. Again, they played pretend with me. All of these people were pretty much set up. part of Hollywood, and after the cash, I was told that there was a trust fund that was part of Star Wars, and probably stuff that they had me in that I didn't agree to be in, but was drugged up and forced to be in. That's where a lot of the conditioning is done, to abuse you and to try and get you to give up your life. Okay. Then on top of that, um, I have noted and noticed, obviously, a situation regarding the life insurance and how it all fits. Um, when you're looking at the picture, it's really hard to understand how it all fits and what it's actually doing to society and what it's actually done. I think or thought at one time that the visitors had put life insurance in place. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, I don't know. I know that it was supposed to be from Germany, too. They did this type of thing there. Obviously, we all know about the Holocaust, and that was obviously real. So it might have been put into place a long time ago, but it was definitely mostly done in this century. Even during the Revolutionary War, back then you could get life insurance, but it wasn't too common for obvious reasons. And if you did, you went to a church to get it. Okay. But then you have the invasion from China, and then you have World War II. These were all real things. Okay, they're not just made up things. Uh, so, what happened in World War II? Well, you had Germany, and then you had Jewish people and German people, but I still don't understand it. Okay, and they decided that they wanted to sell life insurance and starve everyone and poison them and kill them. So they set up a system in Germany, and that system didn't exist here in the United States at the time. That's not at all what our country was about or what it was ever meant to be. Okay, so they decided that they were going to divide people up and divide up families, and they decided that they were going to put certain ones in concentration camps um, after they divided them up. They decided they were going to take their identities from them. Okay. They decided they were going to keep books and binders on the people inside of the camps. They decided that they were going to mutilate them, the people. They decided they were going to starve them. They decided that they were going to force feed them poison. And they decided that they were going to kill them off. And life insurance was the tool that was used for the real reason. In other words, that's really what it was about, more so than anything else. When you look at it, you have people on one side and people on the other, okay? And they wanted to kill each other off because they were people. No. They wanted to kill each other off because of greed. Right? So the policies were used as a tool to fuel that greed and to fuel hate and resentment and a desire to obtain that dough. Right? So that's really what it boiled down to. That's what it was all about. Right? Then they decided that they were going to use that tool worldwide, and they tried to, and they almost succeeded, but the United States and some other places stepped up and stepped in and prevented them from doing it. Of course, those places that we had to go and invade to help put a stop to it all then got angry at us. And so did the people who, well, they're mad. They wanted the cash. So then they invaded us. And they brought with them the ways that they learned where they came from, where they originally started out at. So in their mind, what they were doing was destroying the country, but it was also getting them dope. So some of those people might have come here with nothing and or very little left by the time they got here, because that's just what happens sometimes. For some reason, maybe they didn't get the karma message that what they were doing was wrong. So they came here and they had nothing, and instead of going out and getting jobs and following our laws the way things were already set up here, they decided that they were going to do the same thing. A lot of people caught them when they first got here, and a lot of those people bought policies on me. They were purposely sold those policies with the intent of catching them. I was a kid, so I didn't get a choice. I was just some kid that his parents were killed and was kidnapped and being held hostage and tortured and raped. And mutilated and abused. So to them, it didn't matter. I was a nothing and no one. Apparently, they assumed that I was born for that purpose and intent. So, some people had come to Dave and they had expressed aggravation and frustration in their own lives. Maybe they had a baby on the way and a lot of bills to pay, and they were upset. He would get them high. He would placate them, all the while with an evil smile on his face. For some reason, people don't seem to catch that smile. He would sell them a policy, or try to, and then later canceled them. Some of the people decided to go buy one themselves, or they bought one on somebody else that they knew that they had a vendetta against. Maybe their mother-in-law or an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend or ex-wife or ex-husband. Their major complaint was that they had bills to pay or a baby on the way, and they also looked down on the blessing of the baby and resented the fact that it was going to be born. They didn't seem to understand that that made him mad. It might have been a different Dave, I don't know, but it really made him mad. It also made him mad that a lot of the time they would show up drunk, which means that they risked their life and all the other people's lives out on the road just to get to his house to complain and buy a policy from him or me, which they shouldn't have been doing. Some people tried to get around him, but because he was CIA, they still got caught. Some people bought them through MetLife. Those were $1 million policies. Some were Prudential. Some were other secondary companies, smaller ones that were part of phone companies and electric companies, or even Abercrombie and Fitch or Xerox. Some bought them through their employee insurance plans and had me added on as a secondarily insured. And then there was something about riders as well. Suicide clauses only worked for like 3 years, and then after that, a rider could be purchased in case it ever did. People used to call him up and make suggestions. Maybe we should do this to her. What do you think of this? He would sit on the phone, his mouth all pierced and his ears real red, his eyeballs bugging out, and he would just say, "Go ahead," and then they did. They, some went off and killed others, targeted people that they knew. They took the money and then they built their businesses with the money. They went into politics with the money. They got in and on TV with the money. They built themselves up off people that they killed or helped to kill and led to the demise of by hunting. And most of the time simply by not helping. So they decided they didn't like someone in their family for whatever reason. They wanted money. So the family would get together and pretty much decide not to help that person anymore, to cause them to lose their job, to cause them to lose their husband or their wife, to cause them to lose their kids, to starve them, to get them hooked on drugs, or to get them to turn into alcoholism. They did everything that they could, the same way they've done to me, to lead to the demise of that person, with the sole intent of collecting on the policy that they took out so that they can make themselves rich and buy themselves nice houses and nice cars and fancy stuff. Having fancy stuff's not wrong. It's how you get it. At some point, nutrition all changed. That also had to do with an invasion here. Instead of eating healthy things and whole foods, everything became chemical, commercial and chemical. That obviously helped. It also helped to erode people's minds and keep them dumb. So did the TV set, which again, if you sit back and you think about it, it sort of makes sense that it probably came from aliens in a way. Because when it showed up and how it showed up, the fact that it does do something, okay, somehow, which sounds nuts, but it's really not. Because if somebody else is controlling everything that you see and you hear, they can control you. What you think, what your perceptions are. And for all you know, there could be things seated in, which I've caught them at, as far as emphasis goes and code goes. So they've been doing that as well. I also noted that when I stopped watching it, my mind started to clear and my memories started to come back. So it may have something mixed in that's keeping people spelled or hypnotized, causing them to make the wrong decisions or helping them to be hateful. You're watching hate each and every day, and you are seeing that. You're seeing the hateful looks on people's faces, the way they talk to each other, the way they treat each other, and you copy that. Okay, you mimic it. It comes out, whether you realize that it is or it's not. You don't want to think that it is, but it does. It really does. The same way I pick up on poor vocabulary choices. It's the same exact thing. You don't want to think that way, but it obviously does. And as a matter of fact, right now what's going on with the virus is a perfect example of that, because look at what's going on. It's on everybody's mind constantly. That helps work you into a tizzy and can also help to make you sick. It's, like I say, it's like a type of a spell. It's seeding it into your mind. Okay. You fall asleep and that thing is constantly playing, and you hear virus, constantly. You're looking at it down on your screen. The next thing you know, you are becoming sick. You don't feel so good. Plus, add in poison, which brings out those symptoms that they're telling you. This is what they did. This is what they're doing, and this is incredibly wrong. You have all these different groups. Dave used the policies to create and build those groups, become a part of those groups. He also used his badge. I don't know what he did, if he played it pretend to infiltrate them, if he created them. His gang and his thing, he used the policies. So they bought the policy, and they automatically became his prisoner. That's what he called it. So I don't know if these people really wanted to be criminals. As far as he was concerned, the moment they bought the policy, that turned them into criminals. And then he would basically tell them that they were armed and use them as blackmail tools. And then he used those blackmail tools to victimize me and my kids, as well as others that were also his victims. Which is part of what the problem is. So instead of people standing up and saying, hey, I was tricked, or I was robbed, or I was wrong, this man is hunting me too, they just keep hanging up the telephone. Which I don't understand. But that's what he did. The visitors also may have been involved in some of these sales, which means that offices might have been entered by them, and the people who were sitting behind the desks were pushed or coerced or forced to sign. I seem to remember some sort of a presentation being given that I saw or was shown, and it had photos of me and my kids and my house and Dave in his wheelchair wearing a blue shirt. I'm not sure when that was, but I do think it had to do with the visitors. So they were basically getting people to hunt us, probably because of the abductions and what I know about them. They don't want me to tell or to say, but I'm walking, talking him about that's been under surveillance. So sorry, no, by some 5 layers. So, no one can lie. It was said that Ed and Tony were selling information. I don't know if this is true, on how to kill for life insurance. My entire high school is said to have policies. You wouldn't believe how many Patties I went to school with. A lot of those people were the ones that came over with the intent to invade. And they've actually had them change their kids' names, or they chose to change their kids' names to Patty. There's probably 50 Patties. Admit. When I went to high school, I have a memory of the visitors invading, and I think I was raped by the entire high school. My eyes have been stuck green ever since. Green for the greed and the envy. Kathy's the one who helped set that up. Dave too. I don't exactly know what is wrong with you. I don't exactly understand you at all. Any of you or your behavior. I don't know where you get these sick ideas from, or why. But what I can say is this, and I'm not saying it to be mean, okay? I'm not saying it to be hateful. period. And there are billions of people in this world, and in order to keep them safe and protected and alive and healthy, truly healthy, emotionally, physically, and psychologically healthy, you all gotta go. Okay? That's just the way it is. Because I've been looking at news stories, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, but an entire nursery of children, there's not supposed to be a such thing as COVID, so that means an entire nursery of poisoned babies. Can I ask you a question? What did they do to you? What did I do to you? What makes you think that you are superior? That you can choose and think you can do this to people and that it's okay? What makes you think that it's okay to divulge the names of our soldiers that go overseas, who fight for us, for freedom, and to protect us and keep us safe, and yet you give them the names and their locations to the other side so they could be hunted? That's called a traitor. It's called treason. What makes you think that if there is a woman who is beautiful, or who wears makeup, or who is dressed nice, that you have the right to walk up to them on the street or stop your car and not just hoot and holler, but come on to them as if they're a prostitute? So now if you see a woman, all of a sudden she's automatically a prostitute. Since when? Since when? Can I ask all of you men, so-called men, out there who are doing these kinds of things, a question? Who raised you? Who taught you that this was acceptable behavior? Where did you get these ideas from? Did mommy and daddy not sit you down and teach you right from wrong? Or to respect yourself as well as others, no matter what gender or race? Did they not teach you respect? Basic respect for each other. Because that has a lot to do with this. Respect for human life, respect for yourself, and respect for others. Is there something wrong up top that you can't see someone and just be polite or nice to them? You have to go and be a pig. And you call yourself a man? You call yourself a man? That's a man, huh? That's what a man does. You got a lot to learn about being a man. Same goes for all those rapists out there. You have a lot to learn about being a man. In fact, I'm more of a man than you. I really am. And I've proven that time and time again. not a man, but I am more of a man or could ever hope to be. Because a real man does not rape. A real man does not have to rape. A real man does not rob, nor does he have to rob. And a real man does not kill, nor does he have to kill. Neither does a real human. Okay? There's no reason for any of this other than you felt like it. I feel like doing a lot of things I don't do. And you know what? I just don't do them. And it's not that hard. It's not that hard. So you tell me exactly what's going on up top. Because I'd like to know. I would like to know how and why it is that you think that someone is sleeping in their bed and you think it's A-okay to march right in, drug them all up with inhalants, and stick your penis inside them. When did that become something that you do? And who gave you this idea? And what makes you think that it's right and okay? And again, who raised you? So, let's talk about the system. Let's talk about Joker. There's a reason I want to talk about Joker. You want to know why? Joker looks like a crazy person. He really does. You are looking at that and they're saying mentally ill. But if you look at Joker's face, okay, there's a look in his eyes. And what those eyes are called all-knowing eyes. Okay? Which means he knows exactly what you're up to. He knows what you're doing. He knows what you're about. And that's actually what he keeps laughing about. Okay? That's what he's so mad about. That's why he's so angry. That's why he is stark raging mad. Because he knows what you're up to. And he's watching you do it. And he has you caught at it. Okay? So while you're sitting there acting so hateful and cold, lying to his face, trying to tell him this and then that, which he himself knows is not true, but you're trying to control his mind and convert his mind and force him or convince him to believe the lies that you're selling him. Okay? He's looking at you like you're nuts. He's looking at you like you're alien. And that is why he goes insane. Okay? Now the cuts on his face to make that smile. You want to think that that is makeup. You want to think that it's fake flesh and makeup. Guess what? Okay? This is what has been going on. Alright? You have a kid, and sometimes they steal the kid from you. Sometimes it's right away, sometimes it's later on. They put hours with that they converted and can control easily. Maybe with more of a communist mindset. They rape, abuse, and torture their child. They lie to them. They get them hooked on drugs. They mutilate them. They poison the hell out of them and kill them for life insurance. They lie to the police. They lie to the judges. And the judges don't really care. And neither do the cops. Because for all I know, they may not be in their body. Because I can't understand how I've caught so many judges. And from what I was told, it's a hell of a lot worse than just what I caught. They railroad. They played games. And they know what they're doing, what's going to happen to those kids. And they're doing it to them on purpose. Okay? Now, do you want to talk about evil? Do you want to talk about sinister? Do you want to talk about all conquering actions? Now you know why the people want to burn the courthouses down. This is not just about me. I did not tell them to do that. In fact, I think it's a waste of time and energy and counterproductive. But I do completely see, and I do mean completely see, exactly what is going on. And you know what? It's not just wrong, it's completely against all law and always has been. There is a law in addition to the United States Constitution. It is called proscription to communism. Okay? Proscription, not prescription. I know you like handing those out. It's called proscription. Okay? While standing on American soil, you are not at all ever to promote or prescribe to communism, which includes any and all of what transpired inside Nazi Germany, those concentration camps, as well as other communist places and areas of the world. All of you who are participating in these sorts of things are communists. And I don't take kindly to communism or to communists. You know why? Because they are not your friends. They are insane. Completely nuts. Because anyone who would mutilate a small infant the moment it takes its first breath, anyone who would hack on another person's body, anyone who would poison someone else, anyone who would rape someone, anyone who would set out to destroy another person for money or any other reason, simply because they're American, is completely sinister, is completely evil, and is completely insane. I don't care how big your bank account is. I don't care how much you paid for that suit. I don't care where your house is located, or what your zip code is, or what your job title is, or if you were elected or appointed, or if somebody just gave you the job because you knew someone else. I don't care. You know why I don't care? All those people out there are why I don't care. Then I have to ask myself, while you're poisoning everyone else, do you realize that you're poisoning yourself? So not only are you serial, but you're homicidal and you're suicidal all at the same time. So basically, what I have on my hands are communist, Nazi head cases. Because you're completely insane. Now, can you tell me exactly how you became completely insane? That you think this is okay? Not just to me, to all those people out there. It's happening all over the world. And to those who answer the phone, can you tell me why you're also completely insane? Because you would have to be completely nuts. You would have to be completely insane to go along with this. To just sit there. To sit back and do nothing about it. To not care. Are you not going to have kids someday? You're not going to have grandkids. You don't want to have a wife that you marry and you stay with that loves you for you and not because she thinks she's going to cash in someday. You don't want a husband that loves you for you that isn't with you just to cash in someday. I guess you don't value that kind of stuff. It's not that important to you. Can you explain to me why that is? Because I don't understand. Why is that? Why don't you care? What happened to you that you lost sight of what's important? And or you just don't care no more? And how about this? You know what? You don't want to care. Go ahead and not care about you. But I want my kids back because I care. And my husband. And I'm not a communist. In fact, I hate them. I just can't say what I really want or think. I just can't. But I can't stand them. And you would think, considering what's going on with everybody browbeating each other over masks right now, that there are probably a lot of other people out there who can't stand it. Because it's really aggravating walking out on the street and having someone say, cover your nose. Like you're an infant. Put that mask on. Or treating you like you have cooties. I guess they don't realize how actually rude they are. How hateful. Do this. You know what I mean? Look down your nose. Because I think that's the point. And this is what they do. You know what else they do? They will take someone that they figure they have converted that's communist and place them with an American. With the sole intent to drive that American nuts, to dominate and control them, to sabotage them and their lives and any attempt that they make at having a life, to keep them in their midst. Or should I say midst? ask you a question? I'm asking the world this question. Do I look like a chicken? Do you see me walking around? Do I cluck? Do I cluck? So, I'm a human being. I'm a United States citizen. Because, I mean, I am. So, can you explain to me how or why it is you think it's okay to steal my eggs? Did I say you could take those? Did I say you could have them? What if we put you down on the table and we sucked your eggs out of you? How would you like that? Would you like that? Would you? I don't think you would. In fact, I know you would. But for some reason, you seem to think it's completely acceptable. It's completely okay. And it's not. Not at all. Okay. So here's the thing. I want those eggs back. I don't give a fuck what you have to do. You find those eggs and the people who took those eggs and you give them back to me. Do you know why? Because they weren't supposed to be touched in the first place. And they don't belong to you. They belong to me. And you're not going to go out and make a bunch of Annas so that you can torture and rape and abuse them in every way, shape, and form that you can think of. Okay? Now, who took the eggs? Where did they come from? What kind of doctors did I have that I foolishly and blindly trusted to deliver my children for me and help me bring new birth into this world? What kind of doctors were they? Where did they come from? How about this? They came from more than likely China or Asia. Luke, you would never know by the name. Italy, Mullen, Patel. I think that's Indian, but I'm not sure. Okay. Then you have the doctor that I trusted and boasted about. Along with Luke, you saved my life. Thank you so much. You saved me. I made it, and I made it all because of you. Of course, I didn't know that there was an additional price in addition to all the cash you raked in for the delivery, for saving my life. I mean, what little did I know that the price was going to be my ovarian eggs or my actual uterus itself, all fucked up thanks to you 6 sons of bitches. So you know what? I grant you your wish. Okay, America, I grant you your wish. And you know what else? I give you my complete, and I do mean complete, love and 110% go ahead, and I want you to kick the living fuck out of every one of them that you can find. You fucking annihilate them all. Do you understand me? You fucking kill them all. Every last one. You find them and you destroy them so they can never hurt anyone again. And I mean that with every ounce of my being and my soul. They need to go. They all need to go. It has to happen. There is something very fucking sick and wrong. Oh my fucking God. Holy shit. Who the fuck? You have got to be kidding me. You better do something before you're next. I ain't fucking around. This is pure evil you're dealing with. And it ain't me that's evil.